These are the most emotional moments in boxing history. And starting off, we have possibly one of the most tragic matches that ever took place. A fight that ended with one boxer winning, but the other losing his life. In October of 2019, middleweight Patrick Day stepped into the ring to face Charles Conwell. The fight seemed normal, brutal blows and sweet combinations. But in the 10th round, Patrick received what became his last hit ever. Patrick was in critical condition, and he was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. And days later, he passed away in the hospital.
A celebrated boxer from Long Island has died after suffering brain injuries during a fight.
Tributes were paid to him, and his death will not be forgotten. And years earlier, something similar happened. Because in 2011, Roman Sirikov was knocked out in his fight against Sergey Kovalev. And it was his last fall ever. Now, the fight itself didn't make headlines. The fighters were unknown. But what happened after the knockout was what caught the attention of everyone.
Где врач? Где врач?
And when he was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, it was sadly too late because he never regained consciousness and died. And for number 8, we have one of the worst things to ever happen to a fighter: losing your husband during a fight. Because when Sabrina Perez was fighting in her bout for a title, she had her husband in the crowd cheering her on. The fight was the usual brutal action between two female fighters. But in a tragic turn of events, Sabrina's husband suffered a fatal heart attack during the fight. Despite immediate medical attention, he was pronounced dead shortly after. Sabrina's opponent won, but the victory was overshadowed by the tragic circumstances. WBC president expressed deep sadness, and condolences poured in from the boxing community. But in number 7, we have no death or tragedy but a sad meltdown that occurred in the ring. Oliver McCall, a boxer who is set to make over $3 million in his rematch against Lennox Lewis, suffered a mental breakdown mid-fight. The fight was over, and McCall was disgraced by the boxing community. And months later, he was detained in a mental hospital, where he eventually was diagnosed as mentally unstable. And later on, we'll actually cover a time when a boxer was so brutally hit that he became disabled. It's shocking to watch. But before we go there, we'll also take a look at a plane crash that killed multiple boxers. But before that, we'll move on to number 6, where we have an emotional moment from one of boxing's greatest icons, Floyd Mayweather. Because when he lost in the Olympics in 1996, he became extremely tearful.
Now, when you look at Todorov, a 3-time world champion, do you feel like he got some consideration from the judging?
But decades later, he quickly learned from this and became one of the most successful athletes in history. But for number 5, Mayweather actually caused his opponent to cry. Because when he fought Japanese teenager Nasukawa, he easily beat the kid in the first round.
Remember, this is a man who can go. No, Nasukawa now. Mayweather just comes in and throws his all possibly can, and Mayweather drops him again!
Not too much the first couple of rounds, like maybe come back out in the 3rd round. He came out right away attacking, right away stopping.
But while the past moments have focused on one fighter, number 3 sadly focuses on multiple. Because back in the 1980s, during a fight in Europe, 14 boxers tragically lost their lives after the plane they were on crashed. The team was traveling to Poland for a boxing event that they had trained a lot for. And what made it even worse was that they crashed only a mile away from the airport. Rest in paradise, boxers. Now, moving on to number 3, we have one of the saddest fights in history. The time when an old Muhammad Ali fought Larry Holmes. During their fight, Ali showed early signs of Parkinson's, and when they fought, it was brutal and devastating.
Now being won by Richie Green about hanging onto the rope and hitting.
Decades later, Muhammad Ali passed away at the age of 74. His death stopped the world, and the entire boxing community paid tribute. When he was put to the ground, he was surrounded by those who loved him most.
Slowly walking to the center. No hurry.
Now brace yourself, because this next moment was truly shocking to hear about. Setting the scene in South Africa, we have 2 boxers who were fighting. After successfully knocking down his opponent, the boxer to the left looked like he was ready to win. But moments after the fight resumed, he began acting weird and started losing touch with reality.
He wants to fight, and he doesn't know throwing punches. He doesn't know where he is.
Throwing punches in the air and acting strange. The referee noticed his eyes seemed off, and he instantly called off the fight. But the worst was yet to come, because when he was taken to the hospital, he fell into a coma and never woke up. But maybe not as much as becoming brutally disabled and having to live for decades in critical condition, because that's what happened to Prichard Colin. Colin fought Terrell Williams in 2015, and the fight was highly criticized. Throughout the match, Williams hit Colin multiple times at the back of the head. Colin informed the referee multiple times, but the referee said, "You take care of it."
Punch right there directly to chin, another one, a third one.
Oh, how to deal with the guy like
Then, when he was knocked down for the first time in his career, Colin told the ringside doctor he felt dizzy.
Colon said he was dizzy and was hurting in the back of his head.
All this continued until round 9, when Colin's trainers stopped the fight. Colin's condition got worse and he collapsed shortly after. He fell into a coma and didn't wake up for over 220 days. The boxing community showed immense support, and the referee was heavily disgraced. As of 2023, Colin remains in a vegetative state and has not spoken a word. This was one of the most devastating things to happen to a fighter. And if you enjoyed watching this video, then click on the video screen. I hope it makes you take your mind off this emotional video.